Well, hello and welcome back to Open Owl Podcast. I'm Patty Hinman, founder of Open Owl, and I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm going to tackle a pretty big topic today, but before we get started on that, I'm going to light my little owl for Open Owl as our opening ceremony. There it goes. Get down in there. And she's lit. Yay, look at that. So beautiful, isn't it? So nice to have a little ceremonial opening, isn't it? So I'm going to tackle a pretty big topic today. So before we start, I'm just going to close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths. If you'd like to do that with me, that would be great. It helps your mind relax and be able to hear what I'm saying today. So let's go ahead and try that. Here we go. Just you can close your eyes gently. And then just take a deep, deep breath. And slowly let it out. One more. And then one more deep breath and slowly letting it out. Wow, that always just feels amazing, doesn't it? Well, let's jump in with my topic. It's a big one today. I'm going to be talking about finding meaning after grief. So I'm going to ask you a question. What would your reaction be if a drunk driver hit and killed someone that you love dearly? Imagine the shock, the grief, the guilt, the anger that you might feel. There are no right or wrong responses to such a tragedy. After loss, people feel all kinds of different things. They feel shock, anger, numbness, sadness, guilt, just such a huge loss. And those are all valid responses. They're all valid. I'm talking with my hands, but they're down underneath here. All very valid responses to such a tragedy. We respect pain and grief after such tragic losses. And we're also going to now explore how holding on to anger and grief forever is harmful. It's very normal and natural to feel all those deep emotions: fear, grief, anger, rage, guilt, all those. But those feelings that we have are kind of like when you put your hand on a hot stove, or, dare I say, on this fire here. If I were to put my hand down into the fire here, ooh, I felt it, and I didn't pull my hand back. I just sat there with my hand in the fire, letting it burn and feeling really bad. That would not be a healthy response. So your feelings of grief and guilt and all those things, they wash over you. But it's also something that you can control in terms of saying, I feel these and it's very important for me to feel them, but I don't have to hold on to it forever. Maybe in the reaction you feel somewhat guilty that you didn't do enough to protect your loved one from whatever the tragedy is. Perhaps you feel some very deep regrets with the way you treated your loved one, perhaps in the past. And those things are a wake-up call. It's like, the flame, how it, ooh, I felt it again, how it burns. It's a wake-up call to just tell you that was a mistake. But keeping your hand over the flame and letting it burn and continue to hurt doesn't help anybody. So the next thing is to take the pain and the tragedy and all that and create something meaningful from it. We acknowledge the grief and the anger. We acknowledge the pain and the transition between this tragedy that happened and healing. And that might take a long time. But we also recognize we don't want to keep our hand, I can totally feel it again, and let it burn you for a long time, because it damages you. It might not damage you like getting your hand burnt, but it damages you inside in your body, holding all those negative emotions. It really does. So, after tragic loss, many people find a way to channel that into something beautiful for other people. I love the story about how Candy Lightner used the accident of the drunk driver hitting her daughter Carrie, and she created Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. I'm pretty sure that woman starting that campaign probably saved many, many lives. It's a remarkable story of how she took that tragedy and created something great for the world. And we don't all have to do that to that extent, but we can use tragic loss to start something beautiful, even if it's just being kinder to other people. Another beautiful story is how Nicole Hockley turned that terrible experience of having her 6-year-old son, Dylan, shot at Sandy Hook in Connecticut in 2012, I think it was, by creating the Sandy Hook Promise, where they go and they talk about how to see the signs of somebody contemplating doing something like that, and how to help other people not do such a thing again and create such grief. Through that, she's probably saved many, many lives. And those are just a couple of examples. But anyone can find meaning after something like that happens. And in fact, it's the best thing for a person who's going through that, is to eventually come out on the other side and help other people. Well, to bring this all home, just remember, we can't undo what has happened, but we can use it to further beauty and love in the world. We can also, those of us who are friends of people that are experiencing that type of grief and suffering, we can be like Job, or like Job's friends, and sit with them as they grieve, holding space for them, holding them in our arms as they cry, being there for them to talk about it and release some of that grief and pain that they're suffering from. Remember that as a friend, you can always be there for somebody who has suffered loss. Even for people in your neighborhood who are maybe lost a spouse, a a wife or a husband, a friend tragically, or even in illness, you can be there for somebody and support them when they're feeling, even that's somewhat of a loss. So, if today's episode spoke to something deep within you, if you are navigating loss and looking for support in finding meaning, I want you to know that you don't have to do it alone. As a coach, I walk alongside people through seasons of pain, through seasons of change, and to rediscovery. And when you're ready, I'd be honored to hold space for your story and help you take the next gentle step forward.